Good evening and welcome to the Good Man Paradigm episode 2. It is so great to be here. I am just bringing up some chats and seeing how we're going. If you're watching, I would love you to drop a hello or a wave or whatever in the comments. In tonight's episode of the Good Man Paradigm, we will be discussing the difference between wanting to have control and wanting to be in control of your surroundings, of the life around you, of how you operate, of making sure that everything goes just as you want it to or just as you've planned. So we can look at being in control or having control as perfectionism, and like that need to make sure that everything goes just the way that we planned it to, which means that there's no anomalies, because what we often don't have is the self-awareness, the stability, the understanding, the consideration for how to pivot, how to slip and change as those things shift around us, which means like when we have control, we want to maintain control, be in control, make sure that everything is exactly as we like it, as we understand it. And and deja vu, says Aaron. Yes, we were just having a massive chat about this in phase 4 last night. And I think it's really relevant because the understanding of what it means to actually be in control of yourself, to be centered, to be governing your decisions based on the information that you are receiving in the moment, rather than all of the plans that you've put in place to make sure that everything goes exactly as you want. And what actually happens when we start to navigate that space, when we start to be more in control of ourselves, in awareness of ourselves, stepping into who am I when I don't have all of these coping mechanisms, survival skills, clogging up my vision of how I operate. And so one of the questions I've been asking the phase 3 and the phase 4 guys this week has been, how long have you been the co-pilot to your survival state? How long have you been in the passenger seat of your own life because you've just been trying to get on with it, to survive, to make sure that everything goes as you plan, to make sure that everyone's happy, to make sure that you can fly under the radar so that you don't cause any form of ripple or any sort of discrepancy, because that would be another thing that you would have to manage and keep together. So how long have you been trying to be the co-pilot of your own life, pretending that you're driving? Because that would be trying to maintain control, and being in the actual driver's seat would be being in control, knowing who you are, how you got to where you are, what you want, what you don't want, which is such an important thing to understand. Like so many of us say, well, I don't want any more of that, but and I want to, we don't know what it is that we want to create in our lives. And so when you don't know what you want, and when you aren't super clear on exactly all of the things that you do not want, then we project these lives that mean that we've just got to maintain the status quo, stay in control all of the time. And the journey to being in actual control of yourself, self-government, to govern yourself from a place of understanding, awareness, regulation, and practice, to self-govern takes a lot of work to understand what are all of the ways that we've tried to maintain control. I had a conversation with a friend today, and we were talking about this because obviously it's a hot topic for me at the moment. But, she was saying, I've always been a super high achiever. I've always been excelling at all of these things, and I don't know who I would be without that. And that's the question, right? because the control mechanism to be in control, or to have control of everything, is to be the high achiever. And the thing that we fear is, what if I'm not that? Who am I underneath? Who am I if all of the things that I've put in my life to keep me safe aren't me, aren't my reality, or that they don't fucking fit anymore? What happens when the life around us that we've created and we've built, that is controlled 360 degrees? What happens when we wake up in that and go, this isn't mine? And I don't think I like this. How do I get out? And that would be the journey to figuring out how to step into the driver's seat. But as I say to the guys all the time, like, and they know, right? Like, some of the guys, so Aaron's been in it for 12 months now. He's coming to the end of phase 4. He has shown up through so many levels of himself to start to understand how to step into self-government. I can complain about everything in my life that I don't like. I can complain about how busy I am. I can complain about how I have to do the grocery shopping and how I have to clean the house and how I don't have time and how I've got a business to run. I can complain about how many things that there are to do. Or I can start hacking into, what actions can I take to start to shift that? And what is the priority use of your time? But while you are complaining about everything, that's you trying to maintain a facade of control. These are all the reasons why I can't do that. These are all the reasons why I can't take those actions, why I can't go and be with those people, why I can't do the thing that I love. So what happens when you start to prioritize the thing that you love and you start to step into control, into self-government of yourself? Everything around you starts to change, right? So like, the more that you enjoy doing something, the more that you show up to the life that you actually want to be part of, the more that things start to shift around you. So if you focus on the negative things, if you focus on control, if you focus on all of the stuff that you don't like, then you'll create more opportunity for that, because that's what your focus is on. And it's such a conundrum, right? Because we're trying to maintain a control of everything so that everything goes well, but that's rigid. And when there's rigidity, things will often fracture. Things will often break because we're trying to maintain so much control of it that we can't allow ourselves to pivot or to be to adapt to things that are shifting or changing. And when that's the case, we aren't actually allowing ourselves to experience, to be present, to be in the situation and to understand what's coming in and what that's teaching us, or what that's allowing us to experience, to explore, to understand of ourselves. I think that we spend so much time creating a life to protect ourselves from ourselves and try and get away from ourselves because we don't like who we are, and we're so critical of that, that we forget how to enjoy ourselves or how to be ourselves, or we never actually learned. And when you are born into a life of survival mode, and whatever that is for you, if you came from a low income family, if there was abuse in your family, if there was separation in your family, broken homes, if you were severely bullied and things like that at school, often we go into survival mechanisms, survival mode, which means protect myself at all costs and do all of these things. So I say yes to everyone, or I outperform everyone, or I make sure that I'm the fastest and the strongest, so I'm always chosen to be on the team, or I fly under the radar so I never make anyone angry. Because if I made dad angry, he would flog the fuck out of me. Right? So we do these things to make sure that we can survive, so that we can get through. We make those things with a child's brain. a child's mind, a child's understanding. And then we embed those things and ingrain them and recreate them in our lives because that's our survival mode. That's how we lived. And then as we get to adults, I think that those patterns become at odds with who we're trying to become and who we want to be in the world. But we're not equipped with the skills or the tools or the understanding or the knowledge to be able to navigate that process for ourselves. So many men come in and they say, I should know how to do this. And I feel like often it feels a little bit emasculating to admit that you need help, because society has set you up for a place that says, you know, like men should be able to fix things. Men should be the strong ones. Men should be able to do this. But then society is also at odds with that all of the time. And so self-governance is the thing that we often leave by the wayside because we weren't ever taught how to do it. We were taught how to control and manipulate our surroundings. And that means manipulating other people, right? That control and wanting to be in control and have control is a manipulation of the surroundings so that everything goes just as you want it to, because you don't have the understanding, the skills, the awareness, the comfort, the presence to be able to pivot as new information comes in. And that's not saying that anyone's more or less capable or that means that there's something wrong with you. It just means that we need to learn more. I say to the guys all the time, like, you're not trying to fix anything. You are not broken. We are seeking to understand at a deeper level, because that means that you step into self-control. When you understand yourself, when you are clear about who you are, how you got there, and where you want to go, and what it's going to take to get there. That is self-control. And that is probably one of the only actual stable forms of control that there is. Because everything else is this, just need to make sure that everything goes as I planned, and everyone's in the right place, and it all looks perfect, and it all does the things that I'm expecting it to. And expectation is a setup for disappointment. We are looking to confirm our beliefs that things are going to go wrong on a regular basis. But having control of yourself, understanding who you are, how you got here, where you want to be, what's important to you, what you love doing, and how to prioritize that, how to make time for that, how to show up to that. Knowing that the happier you are, the more you do the things that you love, the more space that you make for yourself, the more your life is going to flow around you. It's going to be comfortable around you. You'll get more synchronicity in a state of comfort and happiness and ease. And it's not to say that it's not a lot of work to get to that place. But if you prioritize yourself, and if you put yourself in the driver's seat, things will shift around you to show that, to confirm that, to help you navigate on that journey. Because the universe, universal energy, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is for you, wants you to be on your path, wants you to be connected with yourself, wants you to feel like you are getting onto your soul's mission in this world, in this lifetime. Otherwise, what are we here for? We are here to break old cycles so that we can create something new. And I think that there is a wave of cycle breakers coming through currently. That is why so many people are going, hang on, my life doesn't fit me anymore. All of the control that I had in place doesn't quite have a space right here and right now. That control that I'm trying to keep is breaking down. And the more that you know about yourself, the more that you step into your self-governance, the more that you learn about yourself, the more that you turn and face yourself instead of running away, the more actual control that you get. the more actual understanding you have of where you're going and what it's going to take you to get there. And what a beautiful thing to be able to prioritize yourself, to be able to know who you are and who you want to be and where it is that you want to go in this world. I think it definitely changes the way that we show up, changes the choices that we make. What happens when you're no longer trying to please everyone and trying to keep everyone happy and make sure that everyone has exactly what they need? And what happens when you start to step up and go, actually, that doesn't work for me. I've changed my mind. This is where I'm going. Because that change is always going to be a bit of a hairy place to be in, because lots of people don't want you to change. Lots of people aren't used to other people stepping up into their lives. That's like when you drink, right? When you drink alcohol and so do all of your friends, and one day you decide this isn't for me anymore and you stop drinking. Generally, your friends don't celebrate you for quitting drinking. Generally, they'll say, "Oh, you sure you're not going to have one? Oh, you don't. Well, so what are we going to do now? What am I meant to stop drinking as well?" Like, oh, there's this whole big thing that comes up in that, because what you're doing is making other people uncomfortable about the decisions that they're not yet prepared to make. Because you had courage, because you had strength, because you stepped up to it. Generally, people that are not ready for us to outgrow them will call you back into that place and keep you playing small so that they can feel comfortable and in control. So what happens when you start to take back control of yourself, when you start to make decisions to prioritize yourself and to make you happy? Generally, you have to outgrow some people, some situations, maybe some jobs. Generally, you have to get really honest with how long have you been playing that role? How long have you been the co-pilot to your own life? And how long have you been making decisions that are influenced by what everyone else thinks is the best thing for you, or what everyone else wants from you so that they can stay comfortable and in control? I don't think that any of this work is as fun as people want it to be, like courage and confidence, that they aren't what you think they are. It's not easy. It requires you to have a lot of self-awareness and self-control and actually be in the driver's seat so that you can step into a space and you can be dynamic because you're receptive and present, because you're not plastering the whole room with your expectations of everything that you've ever experienced before. And so when we start to prioritize ourselves, as the guys in phase 4 are starting to do right now, right? They are actioning it now. They are still scared as hell, right? There's still challenging things, but the call right now is you're ready to be leaders. You've worked on yourselves for more than 12 months. What are you doing? It is time to start sharing that, start teaching that, start sharing so that you can understand how to step more into that self-governance, into that leadership, but you can also start to develop your understanding of the concepts that you've been working so hard to bring into your life. Like, now is the time to go out there and do that, and that's courageous. It's also terrifying. And it's so uncertain. But that also requires you to look around your life and go, well, how much of this doesn't quite fit me anymore? How many things do I need to be radically honest with myself about and change so that the life that I'm living and the life that I'm showing up to feels more like mine? And those don't have to be, it's not big. I say to the guys all the time, like, don't try and change the world. You don't need to fix everything all at once. Just pick one aspect. Like, one of the guys wants to help improve the trade industry by improving the culture in trade jobs. And so what we're looking at is, well, are you implementing more of those things in your own business? Because you have to practice what you preach. We can't go out there and tell everyone else that they need to up their game while we're not. And that goes across the board for our lives, for how we show up, for how we hold integrity, for what we want for our lives and who we want to be in that life. Like, are you holding yourself to those values? Are you holding yourself accountable to the things that you're calling others out on? And if you're not, then that's your fucking work. That's your opportunity. That's your invitation. And so one of those things is, well, I'm not sure what to do in the business. It's like, great, well, let's bring in some more team dynamics. Let's bring in some more team huddles. Right? So let's connect with the guys on a daily basis so they actually feel cared about and valued, and so that you know what your business is doing and you're getting active feedback and you're creating a channel for that and you're building trust. Because I spend a lot of time in the mines. I've been to a lot of toolbox talks. I've been to a lot of, like big team meetings and things like that, where everyone's talking the talk, but none of it means anything. So what happens when we start showing up to that in a way that actually means that we do care, we are interested, we are invested? That's taking the opportunity to be in control. Because in control does not mean having everything pinned down and everything exactly as it needs to be. It doesn't mean having everything structured to the end of the days so that we're going for perfectionism. Actually being in control is flexibility. It's understanding. It's awareness. It's presence. It's being able to be in the moment and make decisions based off the information that's being fed to you at the time, rather than needing to clamp down the world around us. And I see this with so many guys that are going through burnout right now after working in an industry, slaving away, slogging away, doing the hard yards, like working so hard. And then they get to the point where they burn out and everything breaks around them and they step away from the business, and then they come back in and nobody gives a fuck. And you just feel like, why was I doing it for so long? Why was I so committed to working so hard for these people and they don't even care? And so then you take that opportunity to recover and to reflect and to start, understanding like why everything is breaking down for you. And then you go out and you get another job. And what do? You go straight into the honeymoon phase. You go straight into, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to prove to these guys that I have the right to be here, that I'm a great worker, that I'm really reliable. I'm going to prove it. I've got guys across the board doing this. And I'm like, what are we doing? We're going straight back into the survival mechanism. Make everyone love me. Make sure everyone knows that I'm a good worker, that I'm quality. Do all of the hard jobs. Do extra hours. Do all of that. It's not sustainable. That's control. That's you trying to control the outcome, the perspective that other people have for you. That's trying to control their judgments, their thoughts about you, their expectations. You're trying to maintain control over a situation, over how you enter. But the thing is that it isn't sustainable. It's the same as relationships. We go into new relationships and we want to control it. We want to look like we're valuable, like we're worthy, like we're lovely, delightful people. So we go on heaps of dates and we respond all of the time and we put in heaps of effort and we show up and all of it. And it's not fucking sustainable because it's not you. It's not reality. It's a control mechanism to get what you want. We're all manipulating things all of the time, right? This is a manipulation of your perspective of a situation. It's not good or bad. It's just a different way of thinking about it, but it changes your brain a little bit. That's what we do in relationships. That's what we do in new jobs. We want to change that perspective and manipulate the state so that we look better, so that we get chosen, because we don't want to be the one that gets left out. Like nobody wants to be the kid that gets chosen last. And I think that that's the fear response that most of us are running away from, or it's definitely one of them. So we try and maintain this level of control so that everyone gets the version of us that we want to present to the world. And ultimately, you will crack and burn inside of that because it's too much pressure to uphold. That's why the honeymoon phase for relationships is like 3 months, because after that, it's exhausting. And then the real you shows up and the real them shows up, and then we have to have an honest conversation. Why aren't we doing that in the beginning? Why aren't we having the hard conversations at the beginning so that we know where we are? And I think that a lot of that is because people want to be in control because they don't know how to control themselves. They don't know how to be in the driver's seat. They don't know how to make sure that they are the version of themselves. It's honest. People are terrified of being honest or raw or vulnerable or seen. And being in control of yourself means being able to be raw and honest and vulnerable and seen, because you're not hiding from yourself anymore, which means that you don't have to hide from everyone else because they're all a reflection of you. And most of us are just trying to outrun ourselves. So when you get raw and you get honest and you are vulnerable with yourself, aware of yourself, when you can call yourself out on all of your complaints and all of your mistakes and all of your things and go, wow, I really fucked that up. What am I going to do about it? When we get to that stage and those states, which is a lot of work, right? It's really uncomfortable because most of us have spent our whole lives trying to run really far away from ourselves, knowing that we want to be someone else or that everyone else's lives look better than ours. You're the only thing that you can't get away from. You're the only person that you really have to be okay with. You're the only person that you really, truly need to understand. You are your biggest obstacle, and you are your single greatest opportunity. And yet, we spend so much time trying to get away from ourselves, not realizing that it's us who have the power. It's us who need the courage. It's us who are actioning our lives. Like, you can't get out of your life. You signed up. You jumped in. You took it on. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But if you're trying to outrun all of that, you're never actually going to be in control of who you are. And that takes maintenance and work and a real level of honesty with yourself. So the opportunity is to sit down and have a look at yourself and ask, where am I trying to control things in my life? And where am I avoiding myself because of it? And have a really great conversation with yourself about it. Now, my name is Imogen Hobbs. I am the founder and men's coach for Change Channel Coaching, and I do work exclusively with men. So I do have the Change Channel Community Arena. It is a space for men to show up, to be seen, to have conversations, to be supported, and I do coach in there every month. So if you are a man, I would love for you to join. There's links in all of my bios on all of my pages. We are having conversations like this on a regular basis. And if you're curious about doing the work or stepping into understanding how to have control for yourself, how to take the driver's seat of your own life, then please ask. We can definitely help you. We can definitely give you some tools. We have everything from free coaching and free resources and the community to paid courses, live groups, and one-to-one coaching. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We will be doing this weekly. So 5:30 p.m. every Thursday night, we will be live broadcasting to, thank you, Liam. Liam says, what a fire start. So we'll be live broadcasting every week. Please like and subscribe. We are also now on Spotify. So if you want to stream or listen afterwards, please jump in there. Otherwise, I will see you all here next Thursday night. Thank you so much for joining me.